Of all the cases that perplexed the perspicacity of Lunro during my daring tenure as Commissioner of City Detectives, none was so strange as the series of bizarre events which culminated at the Via Tris-le-Roy. To His Excellency, the Mayor, on behalf of all the detectives of the City Force, I would like to welcome you back to our city. Hopefully, your recent trade mission was a resounding success. Memo to morgue officers. It has come to my attention that the families of officers not killed in the line of duty have been applying for free coffins and funerals. Please remember that only officers killed by identifiable criminals who are then subsequently tried and executed are eligible for the free coffins and cremation. I expect you to report any sandbagging bereaved families to me for disciplinary action. Signed, Treviranus, Commissioner of City Detectives. Excellent. Monroe. Yes, oh yes, I knew him well. He was one of my employees on the city force. I was in charge of over 1 million men, all told, during my years as Commissioner of City Detectives. Those were the days. When a policeman could still be a policeman. Hmm? Oh, of course you want to know about Monroe, don't you? Well, I knew him better than anybody. Man was one hell of a detective. Had an Achilles heel, though. Of course, most of them do. In his case, it was taking things too personally. Like the time he arrived too late to foil a brilliant heist at the city's used money repository, site where the city's surplus money is taken to be destroyed. Never mind that the UMR was under the protection of the city force. The criminal behind this robbery was no respecter of authority or order.
Madre.
Absolutely.
This is Red Scarlac's work.
Please, no God. No God.
I'll speak to him.
They're gonna kill us.
Thus it was that Comandante Borges, the only blind detective on the city force, and brother, incidentally, of the famous General Borges, who, though completely deaf, played such a decisive role in one of our short-lived civil wars. A role which the historian Liddell Hart remarked with characteristic perspicacity, which Liddell Hart remarked in the pages of Mademoiselle Britannica. Where was I? Oh yes, Liddell Hart. Thus it was that Comandante Borges, friend of Lunro, and like Lunro, incorruptible and unafraid, set unwittingly in motion a train of inexorable events.
Only lost causes are of interest to a gentleman.
Which would consume us all.
Looking for someone?
That's right, Scarlac, you. You're under arrest. Though blind, I'm an expert sharpshooter. Tell your men to put their weapons on the ground.
And what about my women?
Women?
I'm blind! I'm blind! Look! Come on, let's go! Come on! Last out, me of the money! I don't know. Quick as you can! Guess what? Today's your lucky day. Oh, yes, it is. Because I'm not going to kill you. Want to know why? Come on, ask me why. I'm not going to kill you because you're going to tell the lousy city police who was here today. Tell them Red Scarlet did this and not to bother me again. Got it? Thank you.
South side!
All of which was typical of Red Scarlac, all vanity and cunning, capable of the most heinous cruelties, yet not without a certain villainous charm. The money was untraceable, of course, and Scarlac repaired to his impregnable redoubt on the south side, where the city police sadly had no jurisdiction.
No criminal is safe tonight. That's all I have to say.
Just one more question here, please.
What an ill-advised remark. Some criminals are always safe. There aren't enough cells for one thing. That's the kind of bold, sweeping generalization my colleague was so prone to make. Never a thought for the consequences. Eric Lunro. The Lunro that I, Trevidanis, knew. Lunro, an insider's portrait by Franz Trevidanis. Trevidanis on crime. Lunro was an unconventional detective. I've nothing against unconventional detective work. Unable to make charges stick against Scarlac, Lunro brooded. chance arose to nab the malefactor some years later, when a case came to my attention which obviously bore the mark of Scarlack's unseen hand. Monday, December 3rd.
Tragic. It's a tragedy. Very bad. Excuse me. One more. Come on. Want to know what I think? It's them.
At ease, men.
Monroe, here for the third Talmudic Congress.
Who is he?
Yarmolinsky. Marcel Yarmolinsky. Dr. Yarmolinsky, I should say. Here to deliver a paper on the Zahir of Asterion and its relation to the Kabbalah, whatever.
Who found the body?
I did, Inspector. We had an appointment. I was to do an interview. I called his room, there was no answer. I came up and found the door ajar.
And who are you?
Alonso Zuns, editor of the Jüdische Zeitung. It's a small circulation, mainly for libraries. Okay, bye-bye.
Open and shut case, isn't it, Monroe? Our friend Yarmolinsky here is to deliver his paper. And who's staying right next door but Tetrarch of Galilee, who, as we all know, owns some of the finest sapphires in the entire world. Now, obviously, some villain intent on stealing those sapphires comes into Yarmolinsky's room by mistake. There's a bit of a struggle, a knife flash. Well, that's it. That's got to be it.
It's possible, but it isn't interesting.
What's interesting got to do with anything? We're police officers. We deal in absolute reality.
Reality may avoid the obligation to be interesting, but a hypothesis may not. Wrap up these books and bring them to me at headquarters.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why do you have to complicate things? Here lies a body, obviously violently murdered. Across the hall, there's a trove of jewels. Doesn't it occur to you?
Inspector! Inspector! Look.
First letter of the name has been spoken. With your permission, sir?
Yes, sir.
Wrap those books up.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Move on, move on.
No excuse for blunt pencils. God save the king. Monroe never fit in. I knew from the outset this was a jewelry job gone wrong. If I'd been listened to, what ultimately befell Monroe might well have been avoided. But I was not. Even though I was commissioner of city police detectives. Between ourselves, I often doubted the methods of Monroe and his men.
What's going on? You can't do this to me. I know my rights. I'm an editor. I'm a writer. Where
What is this?
Inspector Black, you have a few calls.
I am the editor of the Yiddish Zeitung. Take your hands off me.
Yo, Black, how's it going?
Let me speak to Big Sammy. Any articles gone live in the corridors of City Police Headquarters are live.
This is Big Sammy.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, are you still holding? You won't get nothing out of me.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
City detectives are reminded that the torture section must be kept tidy. Use of the torture section is privileged and non-partisan. Your cooperation is appreciated.
Hey, no bad.
Oh, hello, Zoins. How are you feeling?
What am I doing here? I'm not a suspect in this, am I?
Those restraints are for your own protection. There are many areas in this building which are off limits to civilians. Were you to wander into the wrong room, you might find yourself in serious trouble. What is the tetragrammaton?
The ineffable name of God.
Thank you. Blot, offer Mr. Zuns a cigarette.
You want a cigarette?
Oh, thanks.
Is this the secret name in which resides his or her ninth attribute?
No. Tradition numbers 99 names of God. Scholars attribute this number to the fear of even numbers.
Or else to the existence of a 100th name.
The absolute name, yes, perhaps. God is believed to be male, by the way. Interested in the Hasidim? They're an extreme bunch, not in line with contemporary theosophic thought. Do you mind? So, how's the investigation,
Blot, how's the investigation?
You don't know, but this is your case.
In this building, there are 3,000 detectives. Now, how many of them go the way he does?
Just him,
right? Right.
Turn around, please. Sees a dead rabbi and some sapphires. Like this. For him, the case is solved.
Let's just say I'm looking for a more rabbinical explanation.
Do you believe this crime was perpetrated by the Hasidim?
That's all for now. Oh, by the way, Zuns, what is the ninth attribute of God?
I'm not quite sure, Inspector. I'll have to read up.
Of all the detectives on the city force, the most renowned is without doubt Eric Lonro. The son of a famous architect and a concert pianist, he once considered the priesthood before embarking on a life of public service.
I want to accept this award with humility and gratitude in the name of justice.
Though often thought of as a pure thinker, Lonro has something of the adventurer in him, even of the gamester. At a time of budgetary cutbacks, Lonro is believed to be the reason the city police force has escaped the fiscal axe. 78% of urban residents feel good about Eric Lonro. Only 36% feel good about the mayor.
I can tell you he's pursuing a totally original angle on the case. While his colleagues dug the criminal classes, Detective Lonro is buried in the nomenclature of the Pentateuch. Excuse me, what's that? One of Dr. Yarmolinsky's books. In order to identify the murderer, Detective Lonro is studying the names of God.
That's all I have to say.
What? Monroe's primary flaw, if you ask me, was his determination to link events which in reality had no connection. Case in point, Daniel Acevedo, small-time thug and would-be politician. There was nothing to connect him to the Yarmolinsky murder. Absolutely nothing at all.
Acevedo. I did my best. Nobody knows but us. Have mercy, please!
Daniel Simon Acevedo, political top guy, one of the great boys. Not anymore.
Doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? Could have been there for weeks.
It's written in his blood.
Really? Glasses.
Month to the day.
What day?
The Yarmolinsky murder. January 3rd.
January 3rd. Doesn't time fly? It's my wife's birthday in a week.
Let's get some photos of this! Sometime today would be nice!
I take it we're finished here.
We're finished here!
Hasn't it occurred to you that Red Scarlet has something to do with this?
Yes.
Well, what about investigating that possibility?
I rejected it as too obvious.
But he has a bone to pick with you, the thing with his brother.
Old news, Commissioner.
But even so, Red Scarlac is a vindictive and vengeful killer, Lunro. I don't like it out here. There's too much space. There's far too much sky. It's better downtown. What's the matter with your car? I don't believe this.
If my friend Lunro had a fatal failing, I'd say it was that car of his. It was a symbol of his pride, his ultimate, tragic, self-destructive vice. Lunro had only ridden in a regular city police patrol car, like the rest of us. His disappearance might have been avoided. I myself tried to convince him of the value of a real police vehicle, such as the one in which I rode. But as usual, Lunro was completely distracted.
Lunro, I don't have to remind you of the city officers. They're threatening to cut the force in half. I need a big success story. I need fast action, and I need it now.
I'm aware of that. All I can say is, have I yet failed the department?
No, you have not. Continue with your investigation.
Block, no vales! Block, no vales! Give me the gun! Give me the gun!
Let the girl go. Put your guns down. Son, you need help.
I know. It's just My life is just shit. I got everything, and now look at me. I want to die, Laura. Shoot me, please. Shoot us, please. Shoot me, please. Shoot us.
There. After you return what you've stolen, I want you to go with Inspector Novalis there. The city police have an award-winning gradual drug reduction program. It'll get you off and keep you off.
Thank you.
Nobody's going to hurt you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Laura. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm a good man now.
I'll take charge of these drugs.
Check their residence status first. If they're not legal, turn them over to the Bureau of Returns.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Zunz.
Inspector Monroe?
Yeah, I hope you don't mind me calling at this hour, but I was just wondering if you managed to dig up anything on the ninth attribute of God yet.
The ninth attribute of God? Well, yes, it's the immediate knowledge of everything that will exist, exists, or has existed. Is everything all right, Inspector?
Oh yes, everything's fine. Everything's fine. By the way, how many letters are there in the name of God?
That would depend on which name you're referring to, Inspector. Offhand, I'm not very good at this, I'm afraid.
Why is that, Zunz?
I'm an atheist.
You're a very brave man, Zunz.
Is that all, Inspector?
For now, yes. I'd appreciate your getting back to me about that name.
What's funny?
It doesn't do to get attached to things. It doesn't do to grasp at things. If one gets attached to one's existence, it's just as stupid as being attached to non-existence. And just as impossible.
I'm not going to stop smoking. Don't care what you say.
I can accept that.
I don't care if these are all matters that happened a long time ago. You tell him that people who go unappreciated can get real talkative. He'll know what I mean.
The city police are here to assist you. If you have any questions, please address them to one of our uniformed representatives.
Definitely some sort of mystic construct. Has all the markings of a ritual cyclical event. If I'm right, there'll be a third murder tonight.
But you're not right. You're wrong. Completely wrong. Get it through your head. Tomorrow you're all going to be writing parking tickets.
And he's not wrong. What then? Huh? What if Lord destroyed like always?
Show more respect to the commissioner.
Yes, Inspector.
Sorry. It's all right, Novalis. We're all a little tense.
Yes.
I'm looking for Trevorana.
He's here. It's for you.
Thank you, Jeff. Trevedana's here?
It's a call from Ginsburg, sir.
Ginsburg?
Yes, sir.
I don't know any Ginsburgs. Put him on.
Commissioner Trevorana, Ginsburg here. You interested in the Yarmolinsky Azevedo sacrifices? Well, for a reasonable sum, I might be able to fill you in.
Listen, you. The Commissioner of City Detectives doesn't pay for tips. If you have pertinent information, it's your duty as a citizen. Hello? Hello? God! Troy Donis on the line. Give me a lock on that call on the double.
Yes, sir.
It sounds like a party.
I'll give him a party.
The one who follows the enlightened path has no regrets or any expectations, but with an equitable mind, meets what comes.
Tribune sir.
Commissioner Treviranus, we traced that
Yeah?
call. A tavern on the east side.
Right.
The Liverpool bar, Calle Torbit.
Got it. They traced the call. Tavern on the east side. Calle Torbit.
Calle Torbit?
Let's go! Let's go!
Police officer! Down on your knees! Down on your knees! Come on, move! Get out of here! Get out of here! Move! This is a joke, right?
Well done, Novalis. Excellent. Thank you.
I don't believe it! Get out of here! That's the city
Long live the new king! Long live the new king! Long live the old king! Long live the old king!
Memo to all operatives. We have all read in our newspapers of the possibility of a coup d'etat to rescue our country from the very real danger in which she currently resides. In the event of a coup, it is city police policy to remain strictly neutral. While we are all, of course, loyal to His Majesty, in the event of his downfall, we do not wish the city force to be tainted by any rash association with a former monarch. God save the king. Thanks to this memo, the city police force was able to remain intact and unaffected during the short-lived civil war between supporters of the old pretender and His Majesty the new king. Now that's what real police work is. None of this running around after obscure clues in dark corners or weird books.
Come on, baby! Just send me a memo,
Not after last time! Black! Left!
How brutal!
It's true! I swear it's true! It's true! 8 days ago, he took the room above the bar!
I get a lot of use out of that room. Financially, it hurts to give it up. So I asked for an arm and a leg. He paid immediately. Didn't even bat an eyelid.
What did this fellow look like, huh?
Gray beard.
Kind of sharp features. Well, not really sharp. Kind of nebulous.
Nebulous? Okay, tell me something about this Dreyfus guy.
He always wore shabby clothing. Black. Always black, shabby clothes. He was a bum.
Always a good tipper. This Gryphius. What's more, he never goes out. He eats all his meals in his room. He never comes down the snug to socialize. Until tonight.
Who is Gryphius? Tell me the truth.
The truth is, he's a fellow that came in and went out. Old Gryphius had just hung up the phone when these two girls came in. Man, they were fine. But Gryphius, he didn't seem too pleased to see them. 5 minutes later, they were down again. That's the last we saw of Gryphius, or Ginsburg.
Will you be sitting in the tab now, Gryphius?
Take it down.
Good Lord.
I don't know what to make of it. Minotaur masks, carnival costumes, and always like this.
I haven't been down here in a long time, sir.
All right. Not since that business with Red Scarlat's brother. Maybe Scarlat kidnapped her with us.
Gryphius wasn't kidnapped, sir. He was sacrificed.
What?
That's the word he used on the phone. Ginsburg Gryphius didn't disappear. He was sacrificed.
Please, Lenroe. You're not trying to tell me that the Hasidim practice human sacrifice.
Not as a sect, sir, but in every religious order there are subsects, fragmentary groupings. Look at this. The Philologus Hebrew Graecus. I found it in Ginsburg's room.
That's it. I mean it. That is it, Lenroe. I'm putting you on notice. And I'll tell you why. Because mumbo jumbo is no substitute for good police work. I think this whole thing is a sham, if you ask me. I don't think there ever was a Gryphius or a Gins. Whatever his name was. What the hell my reputation? It's getting light out.
The Hebrew day starts at sundown and lasts until the following sundown.
Is that the most worthwhile fact you've uncovered?
The smallest, least significant things can tell us a lot, sir. Know where the ninth attribute of God is to be found, for instance?
Of course I don't.
In a pillar in the temple of Ammon in Cairo.
Gryphius in a pillar in the temple of Amir in Cairo. I wrote down every word Lenroe said. Made a memo of it in a report to the mayor's office that very same evening, recommending that Lenroe be put on permanent medical discharge. I have nothing against Lenroe. The mayor had not been away on another trade mission. I could have had Lenroe incarcerated for his own good. And whatever fate befell him might have been avoided. He was in many ways a son to me. I'm speaking theoretically, of course. Rhetorically fearing the worst because no one, of course, knows what became of Lenroe. My friend.
Anti-Semitic plot. I doubt it.
bear in mind that the second victim was a Roman Catholic, and as to the identity of the third, his very existence is open to debate.
3 down! And 20 million to
The murders of Dr. Yarmolinsky, political candidate Azevedo, and the disappearance of the mysterious Ginsburg Gryphius have drawn comments from all spectra of society. Our camera crew traveled to the south side to interview the criminal philanthropist, Red Scarlet.
I call it a disgrace! 3 innocents murdered! One of them a holy man of God, no less! And the police haven't got a clue! In the south side, crimes like this do not occur! We don't have bigots stirring up racial intolerance either! If you ask me, Trevor Harris and his whole crew are guilty of criminal negligence!
Lonro.
Mate. Tell us, if you will, Ms. Spinoza, if you have any information which will help us prevent another crime.
There will not be another crime.
What? She said there won't be another crime. Show them enough. Go on.
Thank you.
I've had her checked out. She's a seamstress from Colonia del Sur. What she has to say may amuse you.
The first murder in your series took place here, didn't it?
The Hotel du Nord, yes.
The second one in the suburbs, to the west. And the third one almost a month ago on Calle Tarby. Am I correct?
That is correct, yes.
So? Now you see?
See what?
The hotel, the paint shop, and the Liverpool house. 3 vertices of an equilateral and mystic triangle. You see?
What Miss Spinoza is trying to say, gentlemen, is that our little crime wave is over. Isn't that correct, Miss Spinoza?
Yes. The equilateral triangle is the symbol of completeness.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the trouble to provide us with this little exhibition. By the way, who do you think is responsible?
How would I know? You are the detectives. They don't believe me. But you know.
Have a nice day.
Why did you bring that insane woman in here, Commissioner?
Well, I felt this was the kind of evidence you liked, Monroe. All right, you two. Get out to Faustino Airport. Maladote's about to make a bag switch. Monroe, I have a long list of unsolved crimes up in my office. You might want to come up and have a look at it. Some of them are quite intriguing.
Thank you very much, sir.
Not at all. Dear editor, I am writing to comment on the recent series of articles about an officer of mine, E. Monroe. There is no doubt that Monroe is a good policeman. However, he is only one of many on the city force. I myself have served the department with distinction for the last 27 years. I have received hundreds of awards and commendations. I only mention myself as an example of the caliber of man you have here. readily available for interview. Yours, etc., Treviranus, Commissioner of City Police.
Sure do hate to leave the boss when he's about to crack the case wide open.
Yes, me too. But we got to do what Trevirano says, because he's our ultimate boss. The boss's boss.
You got that right.
I had done all I could to sweep aside the cobwebs of obscurity which had descended upon this simple sequence of events. What had been an obvious attempted jewelry heist became, under Eric Monroe's scrutiny, a Kabbalistic nightmare involving dark forces and unobservable conspiracies and sinister hands. Yes. No. 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 No.
Monroe.
Inspector, this is Alonso Zunz. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get back to you, but I have an answer for your question.
What question was that?
You asked me how many letters there are in the name of God. I was thinking of the tetragrammaton, you see, but that's wrong. That's a word used to describe the name. In fact, the tetragrammaton, which is the name of God, Jehovah, spelled J-H-V-H, has 4 letters.
4, huh? Like 4 points of the compass.
I beg your pardon, Inspector?
Nothing. Thanks for your help, Zunz.
Not at all, Inspector. It's a privilege for me to be able to assist the police in any way. How's the investigation going?
Almost done, I think.
Send him in. Monroe, there's been a robbery at the Vatican Bank on Burtonstrasse. I think
You were right, sir. There isn't going to be another murder.
Well, so you agree with me that this whole thing has been a hoax after all, then, eh?
Oh, no. It's deadly serious. Right now, another hideous crime is being planned. Fortunately, I can identify the location and hence apprehend the criminals before the commission of the crime.
Done it again, have we? All right, then. Show me where. Glasses. Medicine.
Triste Leroy.
Triste Leroy.
Triste Leroy. Cigar. So, Monroe, would you care to explain to me how you reached this brilliant conclusion?
Tetragrammaton, sir. Of course, I was aware from our eccentric visitor's equilateral triangle, and her geometry lesson set me to thinking. The triangle is a closed form, and just as the phrase, the last letter of the name, leads one to assume that the series of crimes is at an end. And yet there are 3 portents. One in the north, one in the east, one in the west. Now, doesn't that seem to demand a portent in the south as well? How many letters are there in the Tetragrammaton? The name of God, Jehovah. 4. J, H, V, H. Remember the Harlequin costume? The paint shop signs? It's all starting to make sense now, isn't it, sir? The sacrifices are ritually mapped out, but not as a triangle. They are a rhomboid.
The gentleman from the pension fund is here, Commissioner.
Tell him he'll have to wait. What do you need to wrap this whole thing up, Monroe?
One good man is a backup, sir. Novalis.
Novalis is in the middle of a big bust at the airport.
Blot, then?
Blot's in the hospital. Nothing serious. He was operating undercover as a baggage handler in one of those, whatchamacallem, you know, forklift. Ran over his foot.
Poor fellow. I shall go alone.
Monroe, I assume you would be following standard operating procedure.
I shall be following my standard operating procedure, sir, as always.
That's what I thought. Paper. Just in case, I'd appreciate it if you signed this. Pen. There are 2 schools of thought about you, Monroe, as you undoubtedly know. One to which the press subscribes is that you are the most incandescent human being alive. The other, which the mayor believes, and I don't necessarily agree with him, is that you are a lucky charlatan. Nonetheless, there is a lot riding on your handling of this case. See those foundations down there? In that very spot, in a few weeks, will stand the city scraper, 127 stories tall. The entire city police department might be moving up there. Can you imagine? Our offices in the penthouse suite.
Excuse me, sir, with your permission.
What? Oh, yes, of course.
Commissioner!
All right, send him in. Hat.
Lonro did visit you before leaving city police headquarters for the last time, didn't he?
Apparently so. I do not recall the substance of our conversation. It was a short one.
Did Lonro sign a paper in your office that day, Commissioner?
All papers signed that day were unfortunately lost in a fire at the old city police headquarters.
Do you recall if Lonro had anyone with him at your meeting? Did he live with anyone?
You must understand, I was very busy at this time. We were in the middle of a departmental relocation.
Do you remember anybody looking for Lonro?
Again, I just do not recall.
Even so, the Tao Te Ching is extremely susceptible to interpretation. Christian missionaries in China thought it was all about the sermon on the Mount. Some scholars even
What's on your mind, sons?
You need to help me out. I need an interview.
Not now. I'm sorry.
It doesn't have to be about the case. It can be anything. Anything you want to talk about. Personality stuff.
I have a prior commitment, I'm afraid.
Taxi!
No, you don't
Taxi!
understand. This isn't for Yiddish's item. This is for Mademoiselle Britannica.
Mademoiselle Britannica, huh?
20 pages minimum. 6 or 8 page color spread. They're talking seriously about giving you the cover.
This is of no importance. Get in.
Where'd you go, Governor?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
To the railway station, driver, and step on it.
The Monroe that I knew was a humble man. Or at least content to be thought of as humble, as long as he was also thought of as brilliant. The greatest detective in all of history. Look at the way he cultivated that ridiculous reporter from a nothing newspaper. Whatever happened to him was entirely his own fault.
We're headed deep into the southern Enterprise Zone. A desolate landscape of smog-shrouded factories and grim company towns. For Eric Lonhro, this is enemy territory. Red Scarlet country.
Dandy Red. He may think he owns all this, but he's wrong. He's nothing but a two-bit crook. You know something? He never will be. Not as long as there's one honest cop on the beat out here. Do you always write like that?
No, this is a more dramatic style adopted for the specific purposes of the article. Famed indeed were Lonhro's exploits. I'm sorry, Lonhro, I must seem obtuse, but I still don't have the geographic angle clear in my head. Would you mind running through it again?
The 3 crimes occurred at the points of an equilateral triangle. However, they also describe the 2 sides of a 4-sided figure called an equilateral parallelogram, a rhombus. You understand? Dr. Yarmolinsky met his fate at the North Pole of the compass. Azevedo met his at the West Pole. And Gryphius met his at the East. There remains only one point at which another murder can be committed. Must be committed, in fact. Triste Leroy.
So how about it, Monroe? No more mysteries. Who are we going to arrest?
I don't know.
Look, but you do know, Monroe. A chain of evidence and events has brought us here, led us to someone. The question is who?
I can't tell you, and I have no idea. You'd better ask my colleagues. They and I operate in entirely different ways. Naturally, I suspect the sect of the Hasidim as I have from the beginning of the case. But it doesn't matter to me now. Trevoranis thinks it's a crime, it must be a murder. I, on the other hand, resist the notion of a suspect, even a motive. What I do is decipher the crime from within. You understand?
Suppose it wasn't the Hasidim. Who would your second guess be? Red Scarlet or the Freemasons?
One. The circumstances of a crime. The people involved, the suspects, the names, the faces, the criminal records of the guilty party, the court proceedings, the sentences. It means nothing to me now. I can't connect with it.
Well, that's understandable. You must be under a lot of pressure. Perhaps a vacation.
I put in for one.
Where will you go?
I'm thinking of Egypt this year. There's a mosque I want to visit in Cairo.
Locked.
Stay on Channel B.
What if they're already inside? Too early. We still have a day and a night.
Stay exactly where you are, Zunz. Don't move from that spot. Keep an eye out.
Why?
Standard procedure.
Chief, this is Rod. You're in great danger. Please over.
Okay, Zunz. Come on down. Walk straight ahead. That's the way. Attaboy.
Looking back on these events, my colleagues and I on the city force came reluctantly to believe that Monroe had been on the take the entire time. That's right. Eric Monroe, receiving payoffs from an unknown group of gangsters. So Monroe took his final bribe, simply ducked out. I'd done all I could.
Give it up, Monroe. It's a lost cause, and you know it.
Only lost causes are of interest to a gentleman.
Identical.
same one.
Can't be. We're on the second floor. How many missions has Detective Long undertaken? 200? 3? All of them successfully concluded. Yet time passes. As a man grows older, his faculties begin to fade.
I don't understand. Must be the thickness of the walls. Size of the place.
The house is not as large as it appears. It's made to seem so by the penumbra, the symmetry, the mirrors.
What mirrors?
Zones! Look at this.
Forgive me, but we're doing this all wrong. We've lost contact with headquarters. We've no backup. Even if they did try and contact us, we could wander through this house for years.
The reason I have told you this is that there have been rumors, lies, to the effect that I had made some deal with forces who wanted to destroy Lenroe. I, who had been his closest friend.
Not as large as it seems. It's a trompe l'oeil. The windows do it. And the ears. My ignorance. The solitude.
No,
Very good of you coming so early. Saved us a night and a day.
Are you looking for the secret name?
I found what I was looking for. You know what this is all about, of course.
Barham, the Calle Torment.
A gambling raid. You went along because you thought you'd find me there. You didn't, and so you killed my brother. My only brother. Who was not a criminal at all. Who was from outside the city. Bearing a message from Mother. A complete innocent!
No one is innocent. If he was your brother, he was guilty by association. I'm well pleased he's dead.
I took a bullet in the chest that night. You didn't know that, did you? My men got me away. 9 days and 9 nights I hid out here, dying from pneumonia in my lungs, while my watchman, a devout fellow no doubt, tried to convert me to his religion. He had a saying, Miss Finnegan.
All roads lead to Rome.
All roads lead to Rome. During that time, quite naturally, I conceived my plan to murder you. Not through an agent, but personally, and very well. I don't mind telling you that I was quite delirious. Imagining myself to be at the dead center of all things. Trapped like the Minotaur in some enormous maze. Finnegan's preachings did have some effect on me, for I began to think in my deluded state that one can be in one place at one time and yet see everything. And that no matter where you start out, you always end up at the same point. Dying in a jail cell like my brother. Lying on a stone floor in the Villa Tris-Leroy. What? Say it again!
What of the last letter of the name?
There was no name. There was no plot. It was all your invention. I had conspired with certain colleagues. Among them, Daniel Azevedo, to steal the sapphires of a certain tetrarch staying at the Hotel du Nord. Unbeknownst to us, the splendid Daniel got drunk and started the job a day early. At 2 a.m. in the morning, he blundered into the wrong room. Dr. Yarmolinsky, harassed by insomnia, was writing an article. A quarter century of violence had taught Azevedo that it is always easiest and safest to kill. Dr. Yarmolinsky, as it happened, had just written the words, "The fourth letter of the name has been spoken."
Mere chance.
It happens sometimes. Next day, I went in disguise to discover what had happened to our little plan. I found you and discovered you were treating these words as the key to the crime.
Mission, sir. Wrap those books up. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
I read up on the Hasidim just as you did. I learned as you did.
that they fear to speak the name of God. I even published articles about them, articles which I knew you would read, indicating falsely and without foundation that they sometimes practice human sacrifice.
You had Acevedo killed.
Naturally, he was impulsive and a traitor. The challenge was to convince you that it was not me, but part of some larger Kabbalistic plan.
Gryphius?
I was Gryphius. She was Miss Spinoza.
How do you do?
You remember, Lonro? The woman with a triangle which wasn't a triangle? I knew you'd supply the missing point. The point at which your death awaited you. In order to destroy you, Lonro, I simply anticipated your arrival here at the Villa Trislaro.
Scarlet?
Yes, Lonro.
When it's some other life, you hunt me?
Do you honestly believe we live more than once?
There's a mosque in Cairo. It's known as Haga. I don't know its exact location. Can be found.
I shall find it.
In this mosque, there is a pillar which reliable sources say contains an Aleph, a point at which all things are visible, where all times merge.
Shall I kill you by this pillar, Lonro?
Yes, as you are going to kill me now, at Leroy.
Next time it shall be as you describe.
A single, straight line.
Invisible.
Everlasting.